Good evening. We'll call to order the Monday, May 19th meeting of the Corte Madera Parks and Recreation Commission. Please stand and salute the flag. To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic, and one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Rebecca, will you please do roll call?
Commissioner Budeman? Commissioner Koenig is absent. Commissioner Rose?
Present.
Commissioner Stoliar?
Present.
Commissioner Hitchcock? Vice Chair Charlie?
Here.
And Chair Miles?
Present.
Thank you.
All right. Before we start with those meetings on agenda, we'll start with time for a public comment for items not on our agenda. Members of the public will be given 3 minutes apiece and can either raise a hand or email public comments to publiccomment@cortemadera.gov. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to make a comment? Rebecca, do we have any raised hands or email public comment?
I'm not seeing any raised hands, and we did not receive any emailed public comment for open time.
So at that time, we'll close public comment and move to our presentations. First up is a preview of Camp Corte Madera, contract camps and special events by Sydney.
Good evening. Let me queue up her PowerPoint here real quick. Light it up.
Well, good evening, Commission. I'm so excited to be here to talk about all of the upcoming summer events and programs we have. My name is Sydney Bliss. I'm a recreation supervisor for the town of Corte Madera, and I oversee youth and teen programming as well as some special events and, you know, how it is in the small department. So a little bit of everything. Tonight we'll walk you through a few summer offerings, including Camp Corte Madera, specialty camps, and aftercare updates, and our newest community event. So we're excited to tell you all that we have planned. Next slide, please. Okay, so actually before we get into the summer camps, we wanted to give you a little information on our aftercare program this year. You can see from our 23-24 school year that we had about 30 students averaging per day in first through fifth graders, and kindergartens we had about 18 full dayers. I'm happy to announce that this year we saw an increase to around 45 first through fifth graders and around 30 full day kindergartners. So our programs are just going gangbusters. There's a lot more students, and we're just our childcare is rocking it with just increasing our program abilities and filling the need for that demand in our community. Next slide, please. So now on to Camp Corte Madera. Camp Corte Madera is going to start running June 23rd, and it'll go all the way through August 8th. We offer a flexible daily registration, which is great for parents who only need a few days or want to sign up for the whole summer. And we're open for ages 5 through 12. And we're based out of the Neil Cummins building, the childcare buildings, portables. This summer, we have a lot of fun weekly field trips, special events, and pool days at the Mill Valley Community Pool. And we also have something for our older kids. We have a CIT program, a counselor and training program for ages 13 to 15. And we've been interviewing the best candidates for the summer to volunteer. Next slide, please. New this summer, we are putting on a bring your own picnic event. We're excited to introduce this new event, and it'll be held on Friday, May 30th from 5:30 to 7:30. We're trying to promote our summer camps and give people a taste of summer, of what we're going to provide all summer long with our summer camps. So staff are going to lead games and activities, and it's free, just casual in town park. We're excited we'll bring out some music. It's going to be a fun time. Slide. Our field trips, we added 2 field trips this summer. We had, last summer we did AMF bowling and rebounders. They were a great hit. All the kids really loved them. So we added 2. We are going to the Exploratorium this summer and Scandia. Transportation fees and all of that is included in the cost of camp that day. So you'll just see the price of that day fluctuate. But it's not exorbitant. We're really trying to give kids the opportunity to go on these field trips. And we will also offer some special events, Camp Olympics and our carnival. So we always have something fun, no matter whether it's a field trip or a specialty day, something to look forward to every week at camp. And next slide, please. Okay, now we're on to specialty camps. Beyond our general day camp, we offer a wide range of specialty camps. These are perfect for families looking for focused interests and flexible schedules. So we did most of our schedules 9 a.m. to noon. And then our afternoon sessions are 1 to 4. And we're also bridging that gap with a supervised lunch program. So if a parent wanted to sign their kid up for all day summer camps, they could sign their kid up for carpentry in the morning, our supervised lunch, where we will pick them up from carpentry, have lunch with them, and then drop them off to their afternoon camp, which could be an art camp, for example. So we're really trying to make that a mix and match area where we can provide all day availability for those families that need it. So we've got kindergarten readiness, art camps, STEM camps, sports camps, and then we have even more on the next slide. Acting, carpentry, skateboarding, you name it, we probably have it. But our really popular ones right now are carpentry. They're filling up fast, as it always does. And our art classes are also very popular. Okay, next slide, please. We have some summer special events coming. Of course, we're going to keep it consistent with our movies in the park and our fabulous 4th of July event that happens every year. It's great at Town Park and we have so much fun, as well as our concert series at Menke Park. But what I'm really excited about this summer is we're going to offer our first ever family camp out. So from August 22nd to August 23rd, we're going to have families camp in Town Park. We're going to tie it with our movie in the park. So that's going to be one of the activities that everybody gets to participate. The movie is free to all that want to come, but if you want to camp over, you have to sign up for the camp out. We'll provide dinner and s'mores and games, and it's going to be a great time. And then in the morning, we'll provide breakfast. So I hope to see everyone out there camping in Town Park. And that's all I have for you today.
Right. Thank you, Sydney. Are there any commissioner questions before we open for public comment?
Questions, but how fun.
Sydney, remind me, we have, how does our Camp Corte Madera compare to other camps in the area from a pricing perspective?
So ours is a little different than all the others in the area because we're a daily offering. A lot of the camps only offer a lot of the communities around here only offer week-longs.
Yeah.
I think we're pretty comparable. I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but we do offer that flexibility of the daily registration, which is so huge for the families.
And are we still doing, Tim, different pricing for residents and district and town employees versus folks from out of town?
There's a different price. Town employees get a 20% discount. But it's the same price for no matter where you're from.
Okay.
But the only discount is the residents or the town employees. We are not having summer school this year, so we don't have an influx of kids where we usually scholarship. So a little more money to scholarship some other kids who may not be in the summer school program to come to camp.
Okay, great. Is there anyone from the public that would like to comment on this presentation? Rebecca, do we have any raised hands or email public comment?
We do not have any raised hands or emailed public comment.
Anyone on the commission to have further discussion? Thank you, Sydney.
Thank you so much.
You.
All right, presentation number 2, Corte Madera Football Club, Recreational and Competitive Program, Sarah Vigil and Allison Marquis. You're on my.
Hi, sorry, I'm a little short.
Hi, so I'm Sarah Vigil. I'm the Director of Operations for the Corte Madera Football Club. And we have, I guess, a little presentation about what the club's all about from the competitive side all the way through to the recreational side. And I was told I have quite a bit of slides, so I'll, glaze over the concept of each slide. And if you have any questions at the end, happy to answer them.
Hey, come on.
Maybe.
Okay, one more time. Sorry about that. But now.
Uh-oh.
Let me close out. Hold on, Sarah. Let me 1 sec. Stop share. Relaunch. Hold on. I'm not there yet.
Close, very close. I can see it at least.
There we go. Okay.
All right. So Corte Madera Football Club, we have a competitive side where we do U8 through U12 here in Corte Madera. And then we have a component of our Corte Madera club, which is called United. And it was a club recently created a couple of years ago where we combine with Mill Valley and Tiburon to help players continue to be able to play as they get older because the roster size grows and because there's a lot of attrition at the older ages as kids enter high school. We found that collaborating with local clubs would be better for the players and offer more opportunity for more kids to be playing at the appropriate level. So those are the two components of the competitive club. And then we have our recreation. Go ahead, next slide. Club. So a little bit of history. I know that the recreation program has been around since, the 1990s. I was just talked to a parent who had a child play in 1994, and it was called Corte Madera Pee Wee soccer. She even sent a picture in, which I wish I'd put in here. But so the Corte Madera club or recreational club began back then, had a couple hundred players, and in about 2014 or before that, Frank Bernardi was actually asked to help grow that recreational program. So he came in here, actually it's probably 30 years, it was a while ago, and helped to grow that program and create more and more excitement within the community to get more and more kids involved. In 2014, two local parents who had kids playing in that recreational program, their kids were looking for more, and they came to Frank and they asked, hey, and the Parks and Rec, and said, can we start a competitive club? So Mario, who was here then, worked with Frank and a couple community members, parents, in 2024 and began the competitive component of the Corte Madera Football Club. Since then, it has grown, and we carry about 1,000 to 1,200 players between the two clubs right now. The heavier side being more recreational players, and then the competitive side has 350 to 400 players. And what the competitive club was founded on was trying to keep a community feeling to the club. We wanted somewhere for kids to be able to play competitively locally and honor the fact that there were kids that still wanted to be multi-sport kids. So the idea behind the Corte Madera competitive program, as well as United, when we combined with the other clubs, is that kids should not specialize at a young age. Kids should be able to play their sport in the fall and not feel that they have to play that sport all year round to stay at a competitive level. So we continue to kind of collaborate with the community, with the town itself. We've, like with the movie in the park, we try to do events that are on the same timing to bring people out, bring them into the community. We're lucky enough to have Town Park here where every single team is practicing at the same location, which has a community feel. The younger kids see the older kids practicing, they help out. We bring our kids back in from our club to work the summer camps that are offered to both the competitive and the recreational. And we just try to have that more family-oriented community feel at our club versus, all the kids leaving from here going to other clubs. And we've heard it's just not the same, type of philosophy. So we can go on to the next slide. So as I mentioned, the competitive program has that, or the program in general, competitive and rec has about 1,000+ kids. 700 to 800 of them are rec and 350 to 400 play in the competitive program. Many kids that start in our rec program move to our competitive program. And over the last couple of years, what we've started to do is bridging the programs by having the trainers train our rec teams and the parents do the coaching on the weekend. It used to be all parent and volunteer run. We heard a lot of feedback that the parents weren't prepared. They didn't know exactly how to coach their kids' teams. So the compromise that we came up with, which we felt would also bridge the two programs, was to have our competitive coaches do the trainings during the week and the trainers not do the games on the weekend, but the parents do the games on the weekend. And this gave us the opportunity not only to have the kids have that same training philosophy that the competitive players have, but also the parents that are volunteering to have the training under the competitive coach to see what they're working on at practices, and the coaches speak to them and carry it into the games on the weekend. So we're actually able to help teach the volunteer parents who want to be out there and help, and maybe are great with kids, but don't have the soccer experience, or have the soccer experience, but have never coached kids before. So we've kind of found that bridge between the two programs. This year, so far, we are in the middle of our tryouts right now, and we are in the beginning phases of the recreation signups. So this year so far, we're looking to have, we have about currently registered for the rec program, 123 residents, 88 non-residents. So about a 60-40 split. For the younger ages, then as you get to the 5th through 12th grade, about 76 residents, 90 non-residents. And the competitive, you can see the percentages, 45% to 55% resident to non-resident for our younger. And then United, which I mentioned is a little bit different of a program because we combine with Tiburon, Mill Valley, and Corte Madera. We host certain age groups and genders. So the kids from all those programs, they only have our location to come play in. So you see it kind of weighted a little bit heavier on the non-resident side because those children don't have an option to play in their communities because we've combined, just as right now, like some of the children, we don't offer the older age groups of a certain gender. They go to Mill Valley or to Tiburon to play. So they would be kind of skewed and weighted on that side there. We're still in the phases of collecting and getting registrants in this. So this will shift a little bit. I think it's a testament to our program that people want to come here and be a part of this. And, over and over again, we hear how amazing our coaches are, how I like to say organized the program is. And it's really a nice thing and testament to us as a town and as a community, which is just so great. Next slide. As I mentioned, sports sampling is a big part of our philosophy. We are not trying to pigeonhole kids and get them to specialize at a young age. We want kids to sport sample. We want them to, yes, be committed to soccer in the fall because, you're a team and your team needs you to show up, whether it's recreational or competitive. But we also believe that children should be playing basketball and should be playing volleyball and should be playing all the different track and field and everything they want to do. So next slide. We offer pathways through our program. So in the fall, this is your sport. We hope that you give priority to soccer. But then come the winter time, we offer optional programs of skills trainings, and we kind of send them in different directions if they want to keep playing soccer if we don't have the availability here. And then in the spring, we, for kids that can do spring, we offer a flexible spring schedule, which we've gotten great feedback from families that you can sign up and show up for 1 day, 2 day, 3 days, similar to the childcare type program offerings, which has been great for families that kids want to stay keeping up their skills, but spring is their basketball season or their softball or baseball season. And then we roll right into tryouts come May, and we repeat the whole process over again. In the summer, we offer 2 summer camps. Rec and comp kids are together in those camps. So it's great for both programs for kids to, be able to be challenged a little bit who are coming from the rec program, and for kids to be mentors who are in the competitive program. So it's a really fun camp. Next slide. Just a couple things. As I mentioned, being at Town Park, we're, I think, the only club where every team, 95% of our teams train at the same location, which is amazing. Just to be out there, if you've never been there at Town Park on a weekday during practices and a weekend, to have all the games going on it's quite the environment. We are thankful that we've been able to get equipment and be able to provide that for both the recreational and competitive programs during their trainings. And, you know, if you're ever out there at 7:30 a.m. on a Saturday, you can see the field set up with beautiful goals and nets and, you know, all the recreational fields having, you know, the heavy goals, not the pop-ups that blow away. And it's been great. So we have a great little storage unit out on the field and then all park to work with. And we are looking to do an East Field improvement project this year. We're excited to be partnering with the town on that. So we're looking to have some new field out there and maybe even be open a little bit longer throughout the year instead of having to shut down in the winter. Next slide. This every 2 years, we do a competitive survey. So we send out a survey. So this was done 2 years ago. Overwhelmingly, people would recommend Corte Madera and United. It was 80% positive remarks in all different categories. And we will be doing another one this coming year. And we take it seriously. We have 4 members who do analysis of this, and we take all the comments very, very seriously and try to make improvements each year. Feedback. Next slide. Why competitive soccer? So next slide. Competitive soccer is, you know, not for everybody, but it's just an opportunity for those kids that, you know, want a little bit more, that want to be out there, that want it for themselves. It's not, you know, something that every kid wants. Some kids want to be out there with their friends and just show up once a week and do their thing. Some kids, you know, want to be out there and learn a little bit more and be challenged and pushed. And, you know, we're looking for kids that are coachable, have a team mindset, they're resilient, they have a positive attitude, and they're challenge and improvement focused, and they enjoy the structure of the practices. So as we look at kids that go from the rec to the comp, that's kind of the mindset shift that we look for. Next slide, please. Our methodology. So something that sets us apart, go ahead, next slide, from other clubs is we spend a lot of time working with our coaches on our methodology and how we want to teach the kids. And the old school way of just doing drills that are repetitive don't allow children to have that growth mindset of decision making. And we're very big on kids having that decision making. So our practices, when you come out there, whether it's rec or comp, you'll see a lot of game-like activities happening. You know, we start with 1v1s to 2v2s, but everything looks like situations you would come across in a game. You won't see, you know, you'll see skills work, but you won't see a lot of, you know, 3 lines, dribble down, pass it down, cross it across there. You know, we come from the philosophy of if you practice unopposed, it's not really going to necessarily benefit you. So we want that game-like situation, and we want kids, instead of joysticking them on the field, we want them to decision make, which translates into life. You know, you're going to have to make decisions in life. And this allows you to take in, scan around, take in everything and make a decision. And we hope that, you know, trait carries through. Slide, please. Great. I talked about our methodology already, so you can go to the next slide. All right, Coach Ed, we are fortunate that we have amazing coaches in our program, and we appreciate that they want to continue their education. So we do a lot of coaches education. We've brought in coaches from, you know, UEFA. We've brought in coaches at a licensed college level licensing. We've brought, you know, we send coaches to these licensing, and we have a lot of coaches in our club who have A, B, C licenses, which are college and have coached at the collegiate level or higher. We have a lot of coaches that have played in the World Cup. And they all want to continue to learn. They want to grow with the sport. The sport has changed, and they want to continue to grow with how it's taught. So we feel very fortunate that part of being able to be a coach here is buying in and wanting that education. And so we continue to help our coaches find that education. Next slide. All right, player expectations. Go ahead to the next slide. So the difference between, I would say, the recreation and the competitive. So the recreation is a 10-week program where they train 1 to 2 times a week, depending on their age. And they play 1 game per weekend. And then the 3rd grade and older have tournaments that culminate the end of their season, which is really fun for them with, you know, and it's exciting. And then the competitive is a little bit bigger, a lot bigger of a commitment. They attend a week-long training camp. The season lasts anywhere from 13 to 16 weeks, depending on the age of the kids. And they do 2 practices a week, and they attend tournaments, some local, some driving distance, maybe overnight in a hotel, if desired, but driving distance if they want to go back and forth. And they, some teams of the higher level will participate in a NorCal State Cup competition, which is just another big tournament, but with a fancy name. And exciting. Next slide, please. These are, as I mentioned, some of the things they do: State Cup, tournaments, all of that for our competitive. Next slide. And that's it. That is the presentation. If anybody has any questions.
Thank you, Sarah. So we'll start with any questions from the commission before we open it up for public comment.
A couple. First of all, great presentation. Thank you so much for everything you're doing. I really am just impressed in lots of different areas. For one is the amount that it's grown over the years. That is really impressive, from 1,000 to 1,200, you said. That's really quite impressive. I was curious, how does that size compare to the Mill Valley and Tiburon programs? And are they seeing equal growth? Is this happening all over Marin, or?
So I'm not sure about the Mill Valley program is bigger. I'm not sure about their growth. But the Tiburon program is smaller, and I actually think they've gone down in numbers. I would say part of our growth has been that some of the programs a little bit towards Greenbrae and Kent have had programs, then didn't have programs. So we had, rec players that came from there into our programs. They're getting their program back this year. Will that affect our numbers? I'm not sure. It's, 1 exit, 2 exits away, but, it does impact the programs that are surrounding, but not south of us. And yeah, like I said, I think the Tiburon program has gone down in numbers over the last couple of years. Mill Valley, I would venture to say, has kind of stayed the same, but they have historically been a bigger program than us.
Okay, thank you. And the kind of a follow-up question to that is that, I know with Town Park, it's a really big field. Looking at that map, you were utilizing every corner of it. Obviously, with the introduction to pickleball courts, we're aware that that's removed a little bit of it. At what point do we outgrow our facilities, and is this growth sustainable? And have we really thought about any future options? I know that we're talking about improving fields, but.
So we have talked about future options. I know that president of our board has spoken to Larkspur about the potential of, we do use Piper Park for our recreational program. We cannot, due to certain territory rules, use it for our competitive at this point, but we have spoken to them, because if the recreational program is a Corte Madera Larkspur rec program, we can use Hall for the recreation kids, which would be amazing. So I know that the conversation has started to hopefully grow into that. It also would be great. I know that there was some sort of use permit, building permit with MCDS, and I know that they use something to do with the town permit. It'd be great if the town was able to adjust that permit to allow us to, being a town program, be able to use the MCDS fields, which would allow for growth. But we were very careful this year we did send out a very detailed, how do we form teams? What does it look like to our competitive program? And it was very clear that coach availability and field availability and space was something that comes into play. So we are not just forming teams to grow. We need to make sure that we have the capacity for that. And we've had lots of conversations with Rochelle and Tim regarding what is our capacity, and can we keep growing? And at this point, field space is a limitation on that.
Thank you. That's all the questions I had.
I have some very dry questions, so sorry about that. But thanks, by the way. Hi, Sarah. So I have foundational questions about CMFC's. Is it part of Parks and Rec? Are there employees of the town? Because I understand you guys do you work and you share coaches with Rec, and there's all of these things. I actually just don't even know that sort of foundational question about how that works. And the reason I'm asking is sometimes people will come to me with various questions, and I'm not sure if it's town related, if it's something different. So if you could maybe just speak to that from a foundational level, I think it would be really educational.
Can you speak to that?
Yeah. Would you like to?
Sure.
Or Tim.
No,
Mm.
but
So it is a town program. So all of our coaches and officials and trainers are independent contractors through the town. So they all sign a contract with us. They do payroll and they get paid. But it's all through the town.
Would
So-
that be then the exact same of someone who's, doing a Pilates class
Correct.
from, okay, so that type of thing. Got it. Okay.
Yes. And then we still take all registration. We deal with all refunds. We deal with any challenges, work very closely if there's a problem with a coach or injury or something else, work with Sarah, work with Frank, but it all is run through the rec department.
Got it. Okay. All right. And then same thing like Michael, Sarah, Frank, all of those also got it.
Yep.
Okay. And so it's under that capacity, then does the town then asks them to administer both the rec and the competitive?
Correct. Little history, that would basically when they asked the previous director to take over the rec comp program, that expanded out to where it is. So basically we still work with Frank mostly for the rec and Sarah a lot with the comp.
Got it. Okay. All right. Okay, thanks. And then so it sounds like with direction, advice from Sarah et al., I'll call it that. That's how the prices both for the competitive and the rec are set, or does the town have to set them? Because I know certain pricing comes through, like we talk about it and make recommendations for certain things. And I've never seen anything for competitive. So that's why in my mind, it was a separate thing. But do we participate in that? Like, what's our role?
We do. So we will look at local clubs and see what they're getting for the price they're paying. We try to raise it every other year, not every year, depending what the fluctuation goes, or if there's an increase or decrease, or if there's more fees, if we have to start paying for fields somewhere else, that may go up or go down. But literally, I mean, Sarah spends a lot of time in our office. I'll be perfectly honest. She comes in a lot and we appreciate her. And we talk quite a bit with Rochelle and the budget to figuring out where we are financially for every team, where they are trainers, and then comparatively where every other club is at. I will say we're unique to Marin in that a lot of times the rec program is run through the club programs. Where I'm from the peninsula, there's a separate organization that runs rec and separate organization that runs comp. So that's a unique quality of Marin. They're all under one. And basically for the reasons Sarah talked about, you get the same trainers, you get the same kids you start in rec, but end up going to comp, or maybe they've had enough of comp, they want something to step back and they want less competitive, they can go back to rec. So I agree that it is great to have everybody in one location. We are concerned about critical mass. It's a lot of kids, as you can see, and we are going to run out of space. I mean, it's a great program. People want to come, but at some point it's like, we can't put any more kids on the grass. So it's just what it is. So, but I think we're right about there now, but it is something we look at other clubs and where they charge and what they offer, and then set our prices that way.
Got it. Okay. No, that's really helpful. I think I was confused thinking they were sort of separate things. So that's helpful. Then there was one other question I have is that I think there was some mention of sort of trying your best to involve players from within the Larkspur Corte Madera School District. I was wondering, how do we do that? Because there's certainly I don't think there's not like a preference or residency element. So how are we doing something specific to involve folks in the district, or what did that mean?
Well, our goal is to have something in the community that kids can come out to and try out for. And if there's kids who are comparable that are, Corte Madera versus Larkspur versus, outside and they're at the same, then the preference is going to go,
Okay.
one direction or the other,
Got it.
and then we're out here in the community. We're right outside Neil Cummins School. We're right outside Cove School. The draw is that your kids can walk over, whether it be for the comp or the rec program. I think, as I mentioned, we've done such a good job here of making such a good program that, as Tim just mentioned, kids that, are tired of being in competitive, they don't go back to the rec program in their community. They want to do the rec program here. So they then sign up for the MISA program through us, not through San Anselmo or San Rafael or Mill Valley. They want to play with the friends they've met here. We also are a community that has St. Pat's and Marin Primary and MCDS. And a lot of the kids draw from there because they want to play soccer with their friends. And this is where their friends are either trying out for competitive that live in the community, or this is where they're playing rec. So we get San Francisco kids that go to MCDS that want to play rec here in our community because after school, they want to go to practice. And those are the kids they want to, be with outside of school. So I think we kind of pull in because of all the different private schools that are around or parochial schools that are around here, we pull in from them as well.
Right.
So it's hard because they are part of the community and schools,
Yeah.
but they may not live here as well.
I remember being impressed at the amount of kids from all over, because I had thought it was sort of, just Corte Madera, and thinking that that spoke volumes to the program, that it's drawing people from other places as well. Okay, I think that's it for me, at least for now.
So I think, I
Thanks.
think, Tim, some of the things we've talked about kind of over the years as we think about programming is making sure that it's accessible to people. And so I think we've got kind of a rec program and a competitive program. Is there anything else that you have to try out for that is run by Parks and Rec that isn't open to anyone?
I don't think so. I think everything else, either you sign up on time and you either make the class or you're participating. I think it's the only one that there would be a tryout.
And so I guess that's what I'm trying to think about, how as Parks and Rec, as a public service, how we think about allocating our resources towards those things that are for the public, right? So like the rec program versus the competitive program, which is for a selection of the public, and what our role in both of those things are. And I don't have an answer for that, but I think it's something that we should think about and really understand how those two things complement each other, and how we think about both of those values together. Those are my kind of how we balance kind of the public-private nature of that part of the program.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Because also I think I've been very much in favor of renovating of the fields, right? They get all this use they need, and the community really wants that. And I think we've been in favor of that. I think everybody on this commission has been really in favor of that. But I think that's a very fair point, because they're used, I assume they're used more by the competitive. Maybe I'm wrong. But I don't know. But so I think it's a point that's well taken, because you're right. That is a subset. It's competitive. It's not available to the public. And yet we, of course, are expending public funds on it. And so, yeah, point well taken.
I'm not sure if it's actually used more by the competitive. I know the season is longer, but all of rec games are here. Whereas competitive plays half of their games plus their tournaments away. So, I mean, I'd have to actually sit down, look at that. But I do know, I mean, because the rec tournaments are here, their practices are all here, and their games are all home games because they're played here at Town Park, except MISA, they go around as you get older. So
Maybe that is something, I mean, I don't want to provide a whole lot of homework, but maybe that is something to look at, right? Like, because if that's not the case, then, but that's a factor, right? Like I think that's a factor in evaluating.
Any other question? Do we have any public comment? No, from the audience. Rebecca, anybody raised hands online? Emailed public comment?
We did not receive any emailed public comment, and we do not have any online attendees at the moment, and no raised hands.
Any more discussion from the group? Okay, great. Thank you, Sarah.
That was informative. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. All right. Haha. Final presentation. Moving on to the consent calendar. These are items that are routine or have been previously discussed and do not require any further discussion. Any member of the public is welcome to make a comment or pull an item from the consent calendar for further discussion. We'll start by asking if anyone from the commission has an item they would like to pull from our consent calendar for discussion. Excellent. Would anyone from the public like to make a comment about the consent calendar, raised hands or emails?
We did not receive any, there's no raised hands, and we did not receive any emailed comments.
Thank you, Rebecca. With that, we'll bring it back to the commission for a possible motion. Would anyone like to move to approve the minutes from the April 26th meeting?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
May we have a vote, please, Rebecca?
Commissioner Budeman,
Yes.
Commissioner Koenig is absent, Commissioner Rose,
Yes.
Commissioner Stoliar,
Yes.
Commissioner Hitchcock is absent, Vice Chair Charlie,
Yes.
and Chair Miles.
Yes.
Passes.
Excellent. Moving on to business items, review of proposed improvements to town park areas B and C, including replacement of picnic tables, construction of new natural seating, planting and additional trees.
All right, so I am going to tag team this with Nick Cartagena from the Public Assurance Civil Service Engineer. So I'm going to kind of give a little background, and he has a PowerPoint to kind of go with some further details that wasn't included in the packet, just to kind of give an update. So tonight we're talking about picnic area B and C. As you can remember, when we did the renovation of the pickleball courts and the Skydiving Foundation, we were kind of looking at the entire skate park, the entire area of the park. And this was the last piece we didn't really dive into to say, hey, let's get these two pieces fixed first, then let's come back. So now we're back here. The discussion tonight is basically to decide and give some input from commission on picnic area B and picnic area C, both which are reservable from May 1st through Labor Day, and then a possible natural berm seating to add some area for people to sit and enjoy the park. This natural berm would be made from dirt that is left over from the pickleball project and the town park skate park project that are there to be reused for right now. And then possibly putting in some new benches that would be the same benches that Park and Rec Commission approved back when we did the Memorial Bench program with some new ADA options and pathways for both for the picnic area C and the redesign. So basically, we've kind of already started working. We pulled in RJ Suko, Public Works Director, Chris Goods, there's the other senior civil engineer. Nick is here. Colin Marquez, our field project manager, kind of went out and looked at the spots. Attached in the staff report are some basic photos of picnic area B and C, kind of the area between, and the other original conceptual design by WRT when they did the redesign of the entire area. So I'm going to turn this over to Nick. He's got some very specific information about the project, and then we'll be here for some questions.
Hi, good evening. Nick Cartagena, Senior Civil Engineer with Public Works. Talk about the Town Park Picnic Area Improvement Project. So I'll just get into the slides. So last year we came to the commission to discuss the Town Park West conceptual design plan that WRT, a consultant, put together for us. At the time, we were in process to reconstruct the skate park and expand it. The pickleball courts were being designed and underway, and then we had a few other elements that we were considering for the Town Park West. Since then, the skate park has been completed and being well used, as well as the pickleball courts. As someone mentioned earlier, it's being well used. Every time I walk by, everyone's highly used. So we're looking at refreshing the picnic areas, the adding some shade, and installing the recreational mound grassy knoll that's in the lower part of the picture here. So I'm going to go through kind of existing conditions and then lay out what we're considering putting in the area. So just to orient everyone, this is a little bit older of a aerial that shows both picnic areas. So B on the southern end and C on the northern end. And the trees in the middle are no longer there. And obviously the pickleball court and skate park were redone since this was done. So the picnic area C currently has ADA accessible access from the parking lot. So you can park your car and have an accessible path from the parking lot down the path. And then there's a little AC path asphalt path that leads to the picnic tables. Each location has 2 picnic tables, 10 feet in length, and 2 barbecue grills, or sorry, 1 barbecue grill at each location. So just to orient you with the existing conditions again, you can see the 2 existing benches, wood benches, they're deteriorating, still usable, but not in the greatest condition. Another photo that shows picnic area B. C is in the distance, and in between the 2 is where considering putting where the trees were historically. This is picnic area C. You can see a little bit of the asphalt path. It's not in the greatest condition. And the two picnic benches, tables, and the grill. Noting that there's no shade currently at that location. Just another. Okay, so focusing in on the lower portion for the two picnic areas. As I mentioned, picnic area C, we want to continue to have ADA accessible picnic tables. Picnic area B, we're actually proposing to relocate it just a little bit north on this side of the berm. And the two recreational mounds would be installed along with a number of trees, which I'll get into in a little bit more detail. So hopefully a little easier to see here. Kind of reiterating a lot of things here, but we would replace the ADA accessible path, would install new concrete to replace the deteriorated path to picnic area C, replace the two picnic tables and benches. The barbecue would remain. The two picnic tables and benches would be ADA accessible, so they're 8-foot tables with 6-foot benches, so it allows 2 feet for a wheelchair to scoot under. And then picnic area B, replacing both picnic benches with 8-foot benches, 8-foot tables, 8-foot benches, and the relocated barbecue. The recreational mounds, just to kind of describe them in a little bit more detail, we're considering doing something similar to what's the mounds that are on the other side of the park near the basketball courts and the restrooms. It's about 2 to 3 feet in height, gentle rolling grass mounds. The thinking is they'll be used for someone to throw out a blanket, picnic area, seating to watch the children play soccer. So I know there's a discussion about not wanting to take away from the recreational space. It can be seen as a quasi taken away from potential space, but also it's usable space because people can sit there, people can use it while they're spectating and watching. It is area right now that doesn't seem to be used by the soccer teams. It's kind of like the spectator area. Yeah, and then I think there's about 8 larger trees and a number of smaller trees, which I have another slide on that in a few seconds. Approximate cost, we're estimating somewhere around 75,000 for recreational mound, 2 picnic areas, and trees, along with the concrete path. This is a snippet of the WRT when they put the proposal together, or the concept plan together. They outlined a number of trees that they thought would be well suited in the park area. They are somewhat drought tolerant. They're low on maintenance and provide, good shade. The 4 trees they outlined are the California buckeye, the cork oak, sweet bay, and the fruitless olive. The park benches that we're considering were previously approved by the commission. The Dewmore Memorial Bench, recycled plastic, and it comes in both 6 and 8-foot options. We're looking at the 8-foot option for the ADA, the 2 ADA benches, or sorry, the 2 ADA picnic tables. They would have a 10-foot top with a 6-foot bench. That is all I have at the moment. I'll back to this information and welcome to entertain questions.
Thank you, Nick. Picnic area B. Why relocate that one from where it currently lives?
It's a good question. Thinking that it would, well, one is the WRT laid it out in their design last year, so they're kind of following their their conceptual design. Definitely open to feedback and suggestions. Creates a little bit of a nook in the I don't know what to call the area, but the area between the mounds, the grassy knolls that we'll be constructing and the skate park, kind of quarantines that as a
Yeah, because there actually is
area.
another picnic bench that's closer to the skate park,
yeah. There's one up.
like not shown on this drawing. Yeah. It's up there. My call out would be that that space is currently used for small businesses. That space between the skate park and the pickleball courts, and they lost some space when we added the pickleball courts. So if we could protect the space or at least check with them that this would allow them enough space to continue to run and rent that space out, I think that that would be my consideration there.
Who's
And
using that?
Soccer kiddos.
What?
Soccer kids.
Oh,
So we've had soccer kiddos out there. We've had some people have done like outdoor fitness out there in that little area. So they do use it. It is actually one of the parts of the park that drains the best. I don't know why, it just does for some reason, which we're happy with. But it's a little area they do use on a regular basis for those classes.
So I think we can, it's a matter of like artfully doing this in a way that gets us our picnic benches and a little bit of a mound without encroaching on either their usable space or the field right there, which I think there's enough space for, but we may need to be narrow as how we pull that off.
how often are those picnic tables being used? In my mind, I've only ever sat, I think, on top of the picnic tables to watch like kids playing soccer. I've never actually used them as a picnic table, which I love the idea of there being sort of a mound there, because I think the people that do come to watch soccer maybe will use it like that instead of sitting on top of the tables like I do. But is that the point? Is that that's the area we're talking about moving where?
Yeah, I think that it was probably more so when there was trees and shade there, they were
Yeah.
used more often. But they're in pretty bad shape and there's no shade.
Yeah.
So I think they're used for when people are watching their kids play in either space, right? Either on the big field or you'll see a lot of parents there with their kids on the Saturday mornings.
They would agree they definitely got a lot more use when there was shade there. Pick your A gets used a lot, and the other picker in the corner because there's shade. Even though it is windy, you're in the direct sunlight. So that is something where if there was shade there, people will use it more.
I wonder how we would keep picnic tables if it was on top of the mounds, though. You'd have like,
Yeah, no, I think we could potentially leave the picnic tables on either end and put the mound in between trees around that. Sorry, we've gone straight to discussion instead of
yeah,
questions.
sorry, yeah. we
Sorry.
have.
Okay,
Okay, so
go
well,
ahead,
I
questions.
do have another question, and then and maybe we can hear from some folks over there, like they have some thoughts too. The path here, I see in red, not the ADA path. Is that an addition? Is that part of the price consideration?
We're not considering doing that path this time.
That's just a tease.
Yeah, that was part of the
Yeah, to
original
tease,
conceptual.
the original conceptual plan was considering some new circulation, but it's not something.
Okay, because I have to say, I love that. I think anybody who's wandered across the soccer fields, right? You're going to be sensitive to not trampling the fields. Like I've always wondered why there's not a little more of a path, but that's just. All right, okay. Right, that was the only other question I had.
I just forgot my third question, but we'll go to the
Sorry.
first two. I know that a lot of people have picnics and big family gatherings on the picnic tables. I'm a little concerned about going from the 10-foot to the 8-foot. Is that not an option to have 10-foot?
Unfortunately, the Dumont only have 8-foot as their largest option. I don't know if we've looked at other picnic tables in the past, but that's a consideration. We can look at other picnic tables and benches or adding a third if there's enough space. But there's always the balance of money and the cost of everything.
Okay, and I had brought up previously about the coals, that there's no sign and no place to dump coals. I was told that it's never been an issue. So as we're upgrading, is that something we want to think about, or is it not an issue?
I have concerns about people moving hot coals. I'd rather leave them in the barbecue pits and have them stay there. I think if you want to put some signs that say, please leave your coals and we'll clean them out, I'm okay with that. But just people moving hot coals in the wind, I have concerns.
If I were having barbecue, I wouldn't know what to do, so signage would be wonderful.
Just really sorry to interrupt really quick, but on that, I mean, I know we've had Jay or something mentioned it, but it's the responsibility of who comes by and cleans up to take the coals, which is a lot safer way to go. But my question is that specified somewhere in the rental where you go in and you reserve it to say, hey, just look, don't try and burn yourself?
It is. It says leave them there. Yes. It says, please put the trash in the garbage cans, but please do not remove the coals.
And you have to have a agreement in order to use the,
It is, and it's reservable, so you can reserve it online, or it is a first come, first serve. But we post signs on the picnic tables when they are being reserved. And then our picnic tables are now actually online, so you can actually see what's available and book it online. And then we just print out the sign and post it on the day of the event. Just like the pickleball courts, the tennis courts.
oh, I know what it was. The old restroom building, is that gone and demolished or is it still there?
The
And
one
wh-
next to the skate park?
Why?
It's there. We need to
Use it every once in a
place to use the toilet on that side of the park.
Not that one.
Oh, the one way by the post office in the fire department, the one that's all shut up. That building is still there. I don't know if it's actually. a
I've
toilet.
never been in that building. I couldn't speak to that, but it's still standing.
It's prime real estate for putting in older adult equipment. Thanks.
So I had a similar question, I think, about the picnic tables. If they're new, then maybe more people are going to want to have gatherings there. I feel like the two seem small relative to maybe like where I'm just used anchoring on Piper Park, where a lot of the picnic areas have at least 6 tables. I don't think we can fit 6, but I think it might be nice to explore 3. If people are gathering, then I think my follow-up question to that would be, do we need new trash cans to separate recycling and trash? I don't know if I'm being silly with that, but might be nice.
We
And-
do have multiple, like right around by the tennis courts. There's like a 3.
Yeah.
Like there's some regular ones, but there is a separation of the different types of trash
Mhm.
on that side of the park.
There's
the
one at
tennis
picnic
courts.
area A, and there's also one up next to the tennis courts also, but not right next to the picnic table.
Not
There are
quite
regular
that
trash
close to
cans.
this,
Correct.
Yeah,
You have
that's
to-
fine. I was just curious if like if we're doing it,
Do
was
it.
there any thinking about let's just, people are just going to take their things and dump it in whatever's closest. So is there a way to perhaps refresh the trash situation there?
I think it'd be a different direction from commission of where the whole recreation mounds ends and picnic area A ends up. Because obviously right now we're talking about moving picnic area A, so you're gonna have to redesign that area anyway. That's something you could put in, or you could keep it where it is and figure out how to maybe get rid of 2 of the old ones and put a new one in. Some options.
Let's do, if there are no more questions, we'll do.
Yeah, I
okay,
actually just
question.
got two. In talking about the ADA path to the picnic benches, this isn't the only one that's ADA compliant, right? Or am I mistaken?
It, as far as I know, it does meet the accessibility requirements because it's based on a percentage of the picnic areas available and it's requirements that, as long as there aren't other amenities in other locations that aren't being represented here, but if we plant the trees and there's shade, as long as there's shade at that one spot, then it's satisfied.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine we'd want at least one. I'm kind of surprised that it's the only one that actually has pavement going all the way to the bench. But something to look at. And then also, in addition to the benches, I really like the style, but if we're only doing 2 benches, I think we should probably look at a bench for 10. Also, if this is like the first time that we're updating them, we should probably make sure we know exactly what style it is. Therefore, we're consistent moving forward when we're in the same situation with other benches in the park.
Any other commissioner questions will open for public comment? Yes, anyone from the public? Here we go. Thank you.
Hi, so Sarah V. Hill again. Love the idea of updating that area, new benches, better ADA access because it is jagged and rocky. I actually liked the path too because you do have to track across the field or go all the way out and around. The little berms are a concern. If you're out there at Town Park, it is inevitable that there are kids on motorbikes and they use those as play areas. They do it by the east field, they do it behind the baseball field, and they will use it as a straight through of that west field. If you put something there, they're going to ride over one hill straight across the field, over another hill, into those little kids that are playing soccer, because it will encroach on that area unless you can make it super, super narrow. But having been out there more than I'm at my house, the motorbikes are an issue. And it's just going to invite more kids to use that as a play area.
Because it's fun? Is that the
Because it's
thought?
fun. It's fun and it's disrespectful. And unfortunately, we have kids in, our community that come out and don't care to respect the property that's out here or listen to the adults that are out there telling them it's not safe and it's disrespecting the property. And I think, it's over by the East Field as well, where you have that hill that comes down and they're on it and they rip up the fields, and then they shut down the fields, and then nobody gets to enjoy those areas. And also, having been here now 20-something years on that field, the shade is a great idea and was great there, but I do have concerns about the drainage in that area, and those trees died that were there, and that's why they became dangerous, and I think were cut down, is my understanding. And if you put in berms, like the drainage in that area is already bad. I wonder what the drainage is going to be like and how that's going to hold up. And to the two fields that are on the side, the one that the little kids for soccer kids use, as well as what the recreation competitive, Corte Madera FC uses. But also even putting in trees there, like, is that a sustainable area for trees to actually grow and not die and get cut down again? Because I thought it had something to do with the soil in the area. And I'm not totally sure, but I do know that we had some beautiful shade there and it all got cut down. And so just consider looking into that before we put something back into the ground that, 10 years from now is gonna be an issue again. Because I remember coaching over by the post office area, the area over there, and a tree, like literally branches falling because things had died because they just couldn't sustain in drought ground, whatever. But wanted to just mention those motorbikes.
Thank you. Yes. I like to yell at kids on bikes.
Are these small circles? So I assume the larger circles are potential placement for larger trees, right? Are these, to Sarah's point, right? Are these smaller circles? What would those be? If those are like shrubs that make it so they can't pop over a mound, then maybe that's something to be said, but I'm not sure what they are.
Yeah, good question. The current thinking is just the size of the initial planting of the tree,
Ah,
but it's something that we're still looking at and developing. And
That was my question. What size tree are you looking at planting?
yeah, so we're not sure, but trying to get decent size to start off with some shade, but also kind of balancing budget. So not sure at the moment.
and then, Tim, do you remember why the trees were cut down originally? Were they diseased? Was it drought? Was it, what was going on there? Or Rebecca, thanks.
Thank you. Part of it was drought, but also they were just aging trees that had maybe not been suitable for parks to begin with. And then as they aged, they were taking a lot of maintenance. And there was some drought concerns with not necessarily those trees that were removed, but other trees in the vicinity that were removed because they had dropped branches. So we wanted to focus on planting trees that were safe for planting in and growth and development in park spaces.
So it sounds like that we're being mindful of that so that we don't get ourselves in the same situation. I also, as I'm aging, need more maintenance. So I understand that.
And I did a little quick research. It doesn't look like there are any 10-foot plastic tablecloth picnic tables. They're all 8 feet. So even like 3 or 4 companies, they make them 8 feet is the largest they make now. The natural wood probably because they could cut it to 10 feet, but most of the plastic ones are 8 foot. So keep that in mind.
So to summarize a little bit of where we are, just to kind of level set, we want to make sure we are maintaining that we are, as we enhance this area, maintaining the space for the small businesses that are on that little field, that we're not encroaching on the big field. We want to give places for people to sit with shade, ideally with natural shade, but we need to make sure we're not bringing in any trees that are either going to be problematic or going to cause issues with drainage. I love the mounds from a beauty and ease of being there. I hate the bikers. And so I'm not sure how to quite resolve those two things myself. If people have more creative ideas, if there's something we can, it's like an electric fence for bikes. I'm not really sure what the answer is there because I do not wanna-
Shrubs.
Shrubs. We put some shrubs around
Alden's out there with like BB gun.
something. But kind of something that's gonna, because I don't think we want to encourage that behavior, but also, public spaces. So
I'd share your frustration in that if I'm not mistaken, you're not supposed to be riding bikes on the grass anyway.
Correct.
So I
It's
think it's more of
pathways.
an enforcement issue, which has been a problem across the whole community on streets, as we all know. And I think that there is some other conversations going on about addressing e-bikes and kids underway. I'm hoping that either that or through the enforcement methodology is going to make it obsolete, because every time I've seen them in there, I've spoken up, and as everybody in the community should, e-bikes especially should not be ridden on the berms.
It is actually on the town council meeting tomorrow night.
But I think they're going to. I think Sarah's point is well taken. They're going to. They're fun, right? Like a little woohoo. I could see kids wanting to do that, good natured or not. So I think it's incumbent upon us to think about in the landscaping that it's not an invited nuisance.
Mhm.
Right? Some shrubs or something there that would disinvite that. Because I don't think the solution is not to have any sort, just to keep it as is. I like the idea of mounds and little sequestered picnic areas and using the space well and trees, but we don't want it then to ruin things and have bikers all over it. So I just think we got to be mindful of that. Sorry.
So I kind of need some final direction on mound or no mound. There is a large mound that is kind of by the
Yeah. The mound exists.
mound exists. I think the plan was to do something with it, either haul it off or later this year incorporate in some type of redesign so that it can take over the winter so it's grass next spring. So I kind of would advise some direction of mound or no mound. And then if picnic tables being 8 feet are a concern, is there a third one we add at certain areas, especially picnic area B? And I did look, there is another ADA picnic area right behind picnic area C there's accessibility to. But right now it looks like only 8-foot tables can be purchased, not 10-foot in the current material.
Do we have any concern with drainage issues if we add a mound?
I just don't know. I know that little area between where soccer kiddos is drains the best. I don't know how it would drain back to the other west field. I don't know. That west field is clay-based, not sand-based like the east field is. I know certain pockets don't drain very well on the west field, just depending on what happens. I think originally the trees there and soaked up some of the water probably that was there, but now it just kind of sits there. I think adding some trees back will help that. But I don't know which way it slopes or that kind of stuff. I do not know.
So I'm a big fan of the mound if we had answers to the drainage question. If
Yeah.
not, then I think we might just be putting something in that's detrimental and belies the entire point of what we're trying to do here. So that's a big question for me, the drainage, whether I would say like, yay on mounds or not. So if all things being equal and the mounds, the drainage worked and we had some maybe shrubs so that we're not inviting issues, then I think the idea of having some elevation, treat areas, I think sounds lovely. But if it ends up being, destructive and drainage issues, then obviously I'd say no mound. So I don't know if I can't opine. Shocking as that is for you all.
So I think can we do a bit of research, I think is the question on like how might we put together the trees, the mound, the shrubs, so that we're not creating a drainage issue and we have some deterrent. And if we can't come up with something, then we may opt for shade, trees, or mound.
I just don't know how I would determine or how Nick and I would determine like, is it going to drain or not? Like, it's like,
Well, do we have drainage issues with the mound on the other side where the softball field is?
walking path and it drains basically into an area where soccer doesn't play. It drains into kind of the basketball area. I mean, I don't.
It goes like into the softball. Do we get a ditch? Do we get a water?
I mean, it drains back into the softball field, baseball field there, because that comes back into the dirt.
Yeah.
And that's closed all winter anyway, because it just it's too much rain.
Not pooling.
Oh, no, it's pulling on the dirt. Yeah. I mean, water comes off the thing. Absolutely. I just don't know where it will pool less because it's in a grass instead of on the dirt, probably, but I can't speak for, I don't know. I just think it's a bigger question of like mound, no mound, or trees and more picnic tables. That's more attractive. I think I'll be perfectly honest, even with shrubs, kids are going to drive through it. They don't care. I mean, I've yelled at kids, my staff's yelled at kids. They do not care. They're going to ride their bikes through it. They're just going to ride their bikes through it. And because they can, it is fun. You get some speed, jump off the thing and be destructive. You don't care. I mean, that's unfortunately what we see in the park, in any park right now, the kids on the e-bikes and parents don't take responsibility. They just don't. I mean, we talk to parents like, oh, it's kids being kids. It's okay. It's like, no, you're destructive. You're doing things, you're putting ruts in. So I worry about just being more destructive and just, another part to jump. So
What's town council taking up tomorrow?
town council isn't tomorrow for an update from Central MPD.
It's like the age-related question of,
Correct. Levels and that kind of stuff. Yes. Of certain bikes.
Are there fines associated with misusing the park?
we do have fines associated with being
Yeah.
there after hours.
Yes.
Motorized.
But
Things
I
on
will
the
tell you, it is
grass.
definitely a challenge for PD to go out and enforce kids on e-bikes. You call them, by the time they get there, they're gone, or they don't care and they're just gone, kind of thing. I mean, I know Hall has a huge problem with it at Piper because there's hundreds of bikes at the middle school. They ride everywhere.
What happens to that dirt if we don't make it a mound?
Nick, where does it go?
My guess is we just haul it off site and have to dispose of it.
Is there any need for it up at Mingy?
I don't think so. That's also on the council for tomorrow night. I don't think there's any need for it. No. Sure.
It's such a bummer because I was just reading about how, the new model for young child development centers are to have these small little mounds because it's really helpful for little kids as they're learning. Like, it's such a bummer that we couldn't have this.
The item being considered tomorrow is the introduction of an ordinance, adding a new chapter to the Corte Madera Municipal Code that would prohibit those under 16 years of age from operating a Class 2 e-bike as defined in California Vehicle Code, and require any person operating a Class 2 e-bike to wear a helmet in the town of Corte Madera. So it doesn't address the e-bike issues in the park, but it addresses the larger issue of kids under 16 riding what is essentially a motorcycle and requiring them to be pedal assist.
We already addressed that within our park rules. E-bikes in the park. Anybody want to fight for the mound? I think I'm the most excited about it. I'm very sad.
I'm pretty excited about it. I'd love to find a way to make it work. I'm just kind of thinking for the last 10 minutes, and by the softball field that goes along, there's two berms and they come right together. And during winter, yeah, it puddles. It's, the field. The rest of the time, I mean, it's a big walkway. People walk through there all the time. I think the drainage is okay. I'm not going to pretend to be the expert here in irrigation. I think it warrants maybe poking around a little bit more to see if there's any, possibility of
Perhaps the height of the mound doesn't need to be as high as that one, a smaller mound.
So I'm not familiar with the drainage issue, so I'm just kind of spitballing here. But if the concern is water, it drains and travels through that area, we can look at creating two kind of separate mounds, so it has some kind of pathway, and we can look at what kind of volume of water we might see and make sure that pathway is large enough where it's not going to concentrate or that it can flow that way. If it's just an issue about it's not impervious, it's still a pervious surface. The water that falls on the mounds should, for the most part, soak into that area. I don't have the background. I don't know what the issue was historically, but to me, it doesn't seem like that much of a risk. And if the direction is to move forward, if the direction is that you would like to move forward with the mounds, and that's something that we can, that's what you would like to see, if we can problem solve the drainage issue, we can definitely, put our heads together and try to figure out how much of an issue it is and what we can do to solve any potential issue there. Again, spitballing, there's always an issue of resources, but we put in some area drains with the pickleball court and the skate park that do route along that south end of the pickleball court and go towards Tamalpais. If it was a localized area, there's potential for us, again, resources. I don't know if we have the money for it, but sometime in the future, we can put in a little area and drain, but
And that's the question, like if the mound was a little bit closer to the pickleball courts, drained into what was there, kind of more along that fence, it would be less likely to go over because you're gonna run into the pickleball fence. Right? You would get a little bit of the elevation. It would be out of the way of everybody. Give a little bit of that. Yeah, like if the mound were kind of up against the pickleball fence, it would give you a place to kind of look and see. Not up against it, but like closer to it.
I'm a fan of the berm. I wonder if, thinking about old people, it's easier to get up off of that than to get up off of flat grass. So I think if we can keep it, I like it.
I see one of the primary uses for it is spectating on kids
Yeah.
playing soccer, and I think it's great. I think McKegney Green and Tiburon really has that big advantage. You can stagger. It's almost like a natural bleacher. And it looks like one of them, I mean, it would go right into the pickleball fence where it is right now and on that path. I just have a hard time believing that the drainage is going to cause significant effect. But
So I think we would like you to problem solve and see if you can figure it out.
Okay, so
But if you
that's,
can't, come back to us. Tell us that it,
can I ask 2 follow-up questions then?
yes.
So location of picnic area B, where it is, or moving it over to where it is now?
We're,
And then number of benches, if we only can stay with 8, do we need to talk about a 3rd bench in picnic area B or picnic area C?
I don't have specific direction, like where exactly that picnic area is, provided it's not infringing. Like I would like to talk to the small business owners that need that space and make sure we're not infringing on that space. So I can't quite tell from the drawings if it's like making it impossible for them to do their thing.
So I think we infringed once we built the pickleball courts, and I think they're, depending on how much more space it was, it's going to get tight.
Right.
So I would worry I'm going to take away more space where they use on a regular basis. I mean, I think if we could keep it where picnic area B is and still have some type of recreation mound there,
Yeah.
maybe that's the
kind of
double
the
win,
idea.
where at least it gives maybe some privacy to them having the class behind it, where it's not so crazy and kids aren't running over the top of it.
Yeah.
And maybe it gives a little more, like I said, privacy to whole class, and it's not as distracting. I just would hate to, lose. Those are regular people who run classes all the time.
Yeah,
They've been there
I
for a long
want to
time.
make sure, yeah, we're protecting that space. So if we can keep picnic area B kind of around the corner a little bit more, I think that's fine.
Okay.
And 2 versus 3, it's, if 3 fit, great. If they don't fit, they
Right.
don't fit.
I think 3 could fit because you're not worrying about a path to get there. I think you'd be fine. I would just make sure that you could still see everything in the park. So basically, like if the mound is super high and you can't see the park, that's a different challenge, right? If somebody's hiding or being destructive or being mischievous, I think if it's a smaller mound where they can just still sit there and still see the park and still see the field and not have to be worrying about that kind of stuff. They may not be a giant amount as it is, but there's still one mound that gets put back there.
Yeah.
Maybe we use half the dirt, not all the dirt, I bet.
Okay.
Just more work to do.
Can't make it easy for you,
No.
Tim. We ready for business item? Do we need to do public comment or vote? No? Public comment, yes?
No, I think we have a direction. Yeah.
Okay. Business item 5B. Review of proposed improvements to Cove Picnic Area 1, including replacement of picnic tables and construction of a new connecting pathway to Cove School.
So this is dear to our heart of one of our commissioners. So when we started the strategic planning, we kind of looked at the ideas of some projects we could easily do. It's kind of a low hanging fruit. This was one that we all agreed code needed some love. It often gets neglected on the other side of the freeway. So we started again with the same group out there, kind of do some tours of seeing how do we refresh the picnic areas, how do we move the possible barbecue pits, and how do we connect the school blacktop, which is used heavily as a pathway there from the parking lot and across, fully understanding that it does get quite muddy and quite wet. And people ride their bikes, people walk through, they have their dogs, and it basically just tracks everything down through that area. We met with the school district on April 29th with Michelle Walker, the principal, and Eric von Blankenberg, who is the facilities director, talked about what we were thinking and ideas, and told them we were going to come to this meeting and kind of just let some of the design, bring it back to them so they could finally approve it, and then go ahead with the project. The PTO has already committed $5,000 to the project to help us connect the two pathway, which was great. They see the need just as much as we do to connect that area so that kids have a place to walk and reinvent that little picnic area a little bit. So I'm going to go back to Nick. He's got kind of the drawings and the discussion of the Cove Park.
Great. So similar slides to the last presentation. I'm going to just kind of orient everyone, even though I think everyone's mostly familiar with the park. So Cove Park, also sometimes called San Clemente Park. We're looking at this lower area here. There's an existing picnic area that's connected by an ADA path to the parking lot, and we're looking to connect it to the Cove School play area path as well. So just some photos so everyone can see the existing conditions. As I mentioned, we have this existing asphalt pathway that's some areas are in not the best condition. Two existing picnic tables. Again, they're 10-foot, same style tables as Town Park. And then the charcoal grill. The benches are usable, but not in the greatest condition. And there's no pathway from the picnic areas to the play area, as I mentioned. Luckily, the fence ends right around. We want to create a pathway. So we did go out. We started to shoot the grades so we can get a sense of slope and obviously it's a pretty gentle slope. We can get an ADA path in there with a little bit of grading around the path area. So to get into the proposed design, this is a kind of overall view of it. I'm going to zoom in a second. We're going to look to refresh the picnic table and grill area in the southeast corner, create an ADA accessible path to the play area, removing two tables, adding back 3 total, and relocating the grill with some decomposed granite. So here's the zoomed in view so you can take a closer look. The concrete path would go from the play area up to the picnic area. One of the picnic tables would be ADA accessible. Again, we're going to leave the concrete slab that table is on and reuse it. The other picnic benches and tables would have decomposed granite around it, as well as the grill area would also have decomposed granite, and the concrete path would continue to go along until we match with the existing asphalt that's in good repair. I've been told that we have an end date of August 8th, so we're going to aim to have everything done before then, so the school can use the field. And approximate cost is around $50,000, with $45,000 coming from town, from the school. Similar bench comes in 6 and 8 foot options. We're going to be looking at the 8 foot, except for one would be ADA compliant. I think that's all I have for So I'll bring it back to this slide and happy to entertain any questions.
Questions from the commission?
Oh, hello. First, thank you so much. I also talked to Michelle and she said I should express to the commission, like, yes, this plan looks great. My only sort of question slash comment would be, and you probably know and have planned for this, that path is going to be connecting the neighborhood, the parking lot, that's going to be a bike path. So the idea that it is sort of like the grill on one side and that, like, I don't know how wide that is. If you've already thought about that, I'm good. But I just wanted to reiterate, like, that's a bike path. That is like a thoroughfare from the entire neighborhood and that parking area, all those kids to the school. So whatever it needs to be wide enough or this, the construct, just throwing that out there.
Or perhaps not put the grill on the other side of the.
Maybe not, or maybe far enough away that like when bikes are going, nobody's flicking their handlebars and falling into a grill. But it will be used.
Yeah, no, that's helpful. I was not aware of it being used in that way. We did give some consideration to whether we relocate the grill, if it stays on that side or if it comes to the other side. The only concern were the trees and the canopy and the heat rising from
Sure.
that. And not an expert, but I don't know what the height requirement is to not pose a fire risk. So at the moment, we considered leaving it on the other side of the path, away from the trees. But there was that concern of like moving it away from the picnic table.
That's legit.
Or one idea may be to have the bike path go around the back of it so that if someone is renting that space, that they don't have a thoroughfare in the middle of their birthday party. Around. But just knowing, because I think it's a highly rented space. Or it's used for birthday parties. I don't know if it's being rented for it, but it is certainly
Yeah.
used for it. But this is very exciting. Any other questions? Patty has a question.
Super excited. So then there's the width of that path as well. Like that's the way every single one of those kids gets to school that isn't further down Paradise. All those neighborhoods, everything. That's the path they're walking. Which is why we were all really excited to get some pavement there because it gets crazy muddy and ridiculous. But they're all like, I mean, I can't tell you how many times, especially when my kid has new shoes after Christmas, where I have piggybacked him over that section. God forbid he get his shoes dirty. Probably shouldn't put that on the record. But anyway, so it'll be used a lot. So anyway, I'm glad that you know that now. If there's any sort of little minor tweaks that you think are warranted with that information, great. But otherwise, yay, I'm so excited. Thanks, guys, for tolerating as I really pushed this one through. Gently pushed it through.
Thank you, Nick. I was over there this afternoon and I noticed next to the school there are 2 picnic tables. Are those something that are under our aegis or is that a school thing? Because they were in very poor condition. Thanks.
That is a school. Our picnic area is the one there and the one over by the sand volleyball pit. So that's their stuff.
Was it under under a shade structure? Yeah.
Do we have anybody from the public who would like to make a comment? Anyone in person? Anyone on Zoom?
We do not have any Zoom attendees at the moment, and I am not seeing any raised hands.
Excellent. Any more commissioner discussion before we close this item and say thank you to Nick? Thank you, Nick.
Nick.
Excellent. Moving on. Staff updates and commissioner reports. Take it away, Tim.
A couple quick ones. We have a Tai Chi instructor. Patty was able to hook us up with a man named Al Lauren, who teaches in Marin for many, many years. He teaches currently in San Rafael and a couple other private homes. He does Tai Chi for seniors. So our target date is June 4th, his first class. It'll be Wednesdays from 2:30 to 3:30 at the community center right after our chair yoga class. There's the grant from age-friendly Corte Madera to help pay for this along with the grant from Marin. So I know people are already excited. They're already asking me about it. So once he gets his background and fingerprint clear, which we don't see any reason why, he's teaching many places. You will see it on the reader board. You'll see it in the newsletter, ready to go for excited people to take this Tai Chi class. So we are very excited to see that starting. Free Tai Chi class. Second is I attended last week, 2 weeks ago, the Larkspur Corte Madera School District in-person discussion on school fencing. They're really encouraging community to fill out the survey. They've got it for all 3 schools, how it's going to impact access points and people coming out of the park. So literally, please spread the word. Please fill out the survey. There are the online videos that they presented from both the superintendent and the CBO. Very informative, very well done, but they're just saying, please fill out the survey. Everybody from people who attend schools to people who walk through the parks, of talking about what kind of fence is going to go in, where it's going to go, and how we'll change kind of the look of this all 3 schools. So please spread the word and please fill that out.
Is there in this process an opportunity for the town to weigh in on what the school district decides, or is this entirely up to the school district to make these choices?
It's up to the school district because they're on school district property. So all fencing is going to go up will be on school district property. They recognize that the field is kind of split in half, the east field, half on their property, half on ours. And at least for Neil Cummins, the 2 plans are either a extension of the current fence to just kind of block off some access, or to literally block in the entire blacktop and have people come through the other side to be buzzed in. The staff that are very clearly would like to fence in the entire blacktop. They deal with people riding their e-bikes through, walking their dogs through, just coming through when kids are on the playground and have no care in the world and just basically think it's their blacktop. So they really would like to have a safe spot where kids can basically have PE and not worry about it. They did say that the gates would be open before school, after school, and on the weekend. So it won't be a closed campus. You'll still be able to use it, but during school hours, it will be closed down. Then custodial staff will open and close it once kids are in session, which was good to hear. That was a concern a lot of people had about access on the weekends, access after school to the blacktop and the playground area. So I know they're pushing it hard to get the survey out. So they really want the results back. So I said I would share that. Soma Aquatics Vax is on a limited basis. We were able to use the Redwood Pool on Sundays only around their construction. So there is going to be, starting May 25th, learn to swim classes and water aerobics on the starting 25th at Redwood. So it has been in the newsletter. Again, it is free for Corte Madera Larkspur residents. Just sign up and the classes will be going. And then Sydney already talked about the Bring Your Own Picnic to kind of promote camp on that Friday in Town Park. And that is all I have.
Thank you, Tim. Commissioner reports. Commissioner Rose.
That is me. Town council met on May 6th. There wasn't much. They did do a report and came up with a list of trees for redoing the streets. And I was thinking that might be relevant when working with the park and planting other trees. I know that in Nick's presentation, he gave 3 recommendations, but there's kind of a more robust list of drought tolerant native trees might be worth looking at in case we have a way to be able to use that list on anything that we have on the agenda. Yeah, and I think the other part was the approved donation of $250,000 for the age-friendly program that's going to go towards instructors and classes and supplies and things of that sort. And I think that's all I noticed from that meeting. There was an additional one on May 14th. It was a special meeting. I did check through it. That was more pertaining to the special hearing for the 240 Temple Vista, which had no relevance to that I saw for Parks and Rec. Those are the 2 meetings.
Thank you, Tim. Playground Ad Hoc Subcommittee.
I can give a quick update. So I have a survey ready to go. I need to include some specific elements of the playground. This Thursday, I'm going to a PlayCore seminar on how to get some grant funding to offset some of the costs. So if it's something we think we can do and we will get an award for, we will include those specific elements in the survey that goes out. So that's Thursday in Santa Clara. And a lot of companies have used, a lot of cities have used it. I believe the city of Novato just did it when they redid their playground. So I'm going to go to that seminar, see if it's something we think we can do and incorporate to save some money or add some additional elements, and then have those elements in the actual survey that goes out probably next week.
Thank you very much. The Executive Advisory Committee did not meet. Do any other commissioners have something to report? Excellent.
A quick question, actually, for the town park, the little kids one. I noticed that there was some more stuff, like one of the tunnels was boarded up. I guess what's going on there?
So somebody was behaving badly and sat on top of the tunnel and broke it. So we have a new piece on order, should be here sometime next week. But there was a crack in the tunnel and it was unsafe to go through. So Public Works identified it, boarded it up, and then ordered a new piece. Should be here sometime next week, is what we were told.
Okay, so that'll be
Yes.
quick.
That, yeah, they had the piece in stock. That was easy, just getting it here and then replacing it. But yes, someone did crack the top of the tunnel.
Was it an adult?
I don't know. I will say we have one other behaving badly. I just, somebody likes to kick in the door at the Granada Park tennis courts. I don't know why, but they tend to kick in the door. It's very strange. They kick it in, and then once they kick it in, you can't open it because the way the hinges are in the cement. So we're working on to figure out how to either remove that little spot so they don't kick it in and destroy it. But it's just been, I think, 2 times in the last week or so, they've just decided to kick the door in.
I've
So,
heard Commissioner Rose is very frustrated with his backhand right now.
okay, sorry.
Taking it out of the door.
You saw me, huh?
That's,
I mean, the door's unlocked all the time.
I know, I just, they don't do anything to damage.
fun out,
They
yeah.
they just kick the door in.
All right, are there any topics the commissioners would like to pull, for future agendas? All right, who is up next? Patty, you are. All right, if there's nothing else, we'll close this meeting. Thank you, everybody.